The headlines in the UK today are very much about no jab, no job. The idea that the government will add pressure to individuals by threatening the idea that if you don't have a jab, you can't have your job. And of course, it seems that much of that is going to be proven to be true. There is no legal basis. By law, the government cannot force you to have a vaccine. People won't be forced to have a vaccine if they don't want one. But of course, there's always ways round that, isn't there? If you make it such that people can't work without a vaccine, then you are obliging them to have it. If you make it so they can't travel, what is it that it would take for you to have the vaccine when you don't want it? Because you simply need to do the thing you need to do. And there's a way that they're going to try and manipulate us into having this thing. So, as it stands, there is this thing about reasonable instruction. So, employers, if they issue a reasonable instruction and staff fail to comply, then you can take disciplinary action against them. So, all an employer will need to do is prove that you having the vaccine is a reasonable management instruction. I imagine there will be test cases to make this so. And once they've proven that it is a reasonable management instruction for you to have the vaccine, then they can start to discipline you if you fail to do that. What can employers actually do? Can they get rid of people who refuse to have the vaccine? And the answer seems to be yes. If you can make it such that it's a reasonable management instruction and people refuse to have it, then you can fire people if they don't. There will be a protected group of people who have certain characteristics. So if you're somebody who suffers allergic reactions, so you would be protected. If you're a pregnant woman at the moment, you would be protected. I imagine certain religious groups will be protected. But if you're just somebody who doesn't believe in the vaccine or doesn't want the vaccine or doesn't believe the vaccine will help you, then you would not be protected. Your own beliefs would not be a protected characteristic in that sense. And it goes on to say, this horrific HR advice, that anti-vaxxers, so it starts off with the premise that if you refuse to have a government injectable, you are by nature an anti-vaxxer. That isn't true of a lot of people I know who don't want the COVID vaccine. Anti-vaxxers subscribing to conspiracy theories are unlikely to be protected because they have to show that their beliefs are worthy of respect in a democratic society. So it suggests that anybody who doesn't want a COVID vaccine, that belief is not worthy of respect. My bigger point here would be, at what point do we live in a democratic society where you have to have a vaccine in order to keep a hold of your job? At what point did we elect a government to take away every freedom we had? At what point do we live in a democratic society when we're imprisoned in our own homes by a tyrannical government who is not prepared to let us out of this infernal lockdown, even though all the measures that we had to meet have been met and the goalposts have been consistently changed? And I also wonder if we've reached this point where it's not legal to make you have the vaccine, but of course there's things they can take away from you until you have it. What will be your breaking point? And I think the question you have to ask all the time is, whatever happened to that old adage of my body, my choice? Whatever happened to my body? Whatever happened to my choice? And do we really live in a democratic society if you can't have a job, if you don't have a jab? It makes no sense at all.